Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our matriarch, for the illustrious, for the queen, Alma Greer.
Good evening. I am delighted to be here, and I'm delighted that you are here. But I must confess, I can't put my leg up like that. Okay. After I celebrated my 85th birthday, on October 26, 2018, I began to think deeply about the welfare of those I love and what I wanted for them when I made my transition. And I especially thought more deeply about it after attending so many funerals and memorial services in the last 3 or 4 months. I said, kid, you better get yourself your thing in order. So I located a lawyer and had a will drawn up so my daughter, Aloe, and my son, Michael, could have legal authority over the affairs of my husband of 62 years. And me. Then my friend Jackie told me about the opportunity of donating your body to Wayne State University's medical school. So I filled out the papers for that. Now, you might think that's morbid, but nobody's getting out of here alive. So I suggest you make your plans and don't leave your loved ones in so much additional pain. Then I thought about my legacy. What do I want my loved ones to remember about my life, my accomplishments, my passion, my childhood? You know, I don't even want to talk about my childhood. I haven't told them too much about it, but I thought maybe that they should be aware that I was born in Macon, Georgia, the segregated South, where when going to school, I had to pay my bus fare and get on and go sit at the back of the bus. The white students got on after I did, and we got to their school before mine, which was closer to my home. But I had to ride further, transfer, to go to my school. And it's a miracle, but I remember its name. It was the L.H. Williams School in Macon, Georgia. I had to obey the signs above the drinking fountains that said colored. And going to the movies, I just sit in the balcony. And if I wanted ice cream at the ice cream parlor, I had to stand in the hallway, wait until all of the white customers were served, buy my ice cream, go outside and eat it. I couldn't sit at the nice tables in the ice cream parlor. At the train stations and the bus stations, family members had to stand in a separate line to buy their tickets. Those are some of the things that, and indignities that I experienced in the South. There were others. And I remember my great uncle coming from Florida to my grandmother's home in Iron City, Georgia, where my mother, 2 sisters, and myself went to live after my parents separated. He came in to visit, and he had one of those big trunks, nobody remembers them, that were made of wood and had the metal to connect them. He had all presents in there for everyone, and so we were sitting around enjoying his company when I heard a knock at the door. My grandmother went to the door, and I heard someone say, "Is Harrison there?" That was my great uncle's name. And she beckoned him to come to the door. He came, went outside. And when he came back and his salt and pepper hair was covered and matted with blood, and blood was running down his face and down his shirt. I saw my grandmother look at my mother, and today I know it was fear that was alive. They started to pack immediately, and we moved to another location the next day. Now I think that my grandmother kind of thought they might come back and lynch him because it was a group of white men. I think they had rifles. And my great uncle's crying. On the way from the train station, he lost his way. He stopped at the front door, knocked, and asked a white woman for directions. That was his crime. That was his crime. As I think about that, I get very, very angry. But that doesn't serve any purpose. Later on, my father came to get us to live with his new wife, and after a time when I was about 12 years old, we moved to Detroit. My first elementary school was the Washington Elementary School on DeQuinder. Then I went to Cleveland Intermediate and Persian High School, where I graduated. Any Persianites? I kind of enjoyed Persian because I played field hockey and basketball. That was fun. That gave me something to do after school. Then in 1952, I registered at Wayne State University. The first year I wasn't doing too well, and I guess that was no surprise because nobody ever told me I was smart. No one ever told me I did anything well. I flunked the 4th grade in Georgia and algebra at Persian High School. So I wasn't doing well, so I said, you better step up to the plate and go get some counseling. So I went to the counselor. His name was Dr. Cook, I remember. He gave me a battery of tests and scheduled a counseling session. And when I went to the counseling session, he reviewed my file, and he said, you seem to be able to get along well with people. Why don't you go to Lewis Business College? That made me feel like hell. I left the room kind of dragging, and as I walked down Cass Avenue, I met a friend, Donald. He said, what's the matter with you? I guess I did look like hell. And so I said, well, Dr. Cook told me to go to Lewis Business College. He said, don't pay any attention to Dr. Cook. He tells that to all of the black kids. So, I did not drop out of Wayne University, and I didn't go to Lewis Business College. I graduated from Wayne with a bachelor's in elementary education. Then I thought about my ancestors, how strong and courageous and brave they were. Bessie Coleman, she was bad. She knew she wanted to fly when she was 11 years old. And when she got older and applied to the flying schools, nobody would accept her. Did she quit? No. She learned French, went to France, learned to fly, and became the first female of African descent in the world to receive a pilot's license. Then I thought about Mary McLeod Bethune standing on a garbage heap with $1.50 and said, I'm going to build a school. That was the germ seed of the Bethune-Cookman College. And then there was my girl, Ida B. Wells, who educated us about lynching. And they tore up her office, and they were looking for her, but friends hit her. And Harriet Tubman wasn't satisfied with saving herself. She went back 19 times and saved 300 other folks, including her mother and her father. So what a legacy. I could do anything with the blood of my ancestors flowing through my veins. And there was my shero, Sojourner Truth, who went to a women's convention uninvited, sat in the back, and when a man said, women need to be helped in new carriages and lifted over ditches and given the best place everywhere, she came up to the front of the room and she said, that man over there says women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches and given the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me into carriages or lifts me over any mud puddles, and ain't I a woman? Look at me, look at my arm. I have plowed and planted and gathered into barns, and no man could head me. And ain't I a woman? I can work as hard and eat as much as a man when I could get it, and bear the lash as well. And ain't I a woman? I have borne 13 children and seen them most all sold off to slavery. And when I cried out with my mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me. And ain't I a woman? Then they talk about this thing called intellect. What's that got to do with women's rights and Negroes' rights? If I have a cup and you have a quart, wouldn't you be kind of mean not to let me have my little half measure full? Wouldn't you? If the first woman God ever made turned the world upside down all alone, she said these women together ought to be able to set it right side up again. The men had better let them. Pleased to you for hearing me. And now, old Sojourner has nothing more to say. After I reflected on that, and after retiring from teaching and being an assistant principal and a principal in the Detroit Public Schools, I retired to a life of volunteerism. You ask me what I do, I said I'm a professional volunteer. You know. And when I served on the Highland Park Board of Education and came to a full realization of the crisis of literacy in our country, we're not first in the world in literacy. You know, we're number 7. You know? And so I thought, well, you know, I got the blood of Sojourner and all of my female bad ancestors in my veins, so I'm going to do something about it. I had a group of 3 other women, and I started an organization called LOL Inc. I thought that was kind of cute. It's called Legacy of Literacy Inc. And our goal is to eradicate illiteracy in the United States of America, especially in our community. I want Detroit to become the city that reads. So what we've organized is several programs, and one is called Real Men Read. If real men can play basketball and football, if real men can entertain, if real men can cook, I read about that in the paper, I said real men can read to children. So when I shared that idea with the principal at the Barbara Focus School in Highland Park, where I was volunteering, you know, I'm a professional volunteer, and she ran with it. She sent out a notice, and the men came, the fathers, the grandfathers, the uncles, the big brothers, and the community people, the men in the community people, and the men at my church, Detroit Unity, they came, and they read to the children. They shared something of themselves. Our children saw literate Black men taking time out from their schedule to come to read to them. We didn't stop there. Later on, we invited the women to come. So we had a program called Real Women Read. And then we didn't stop there. We had a program called Real Kids Read. They go into the senior citizens' homes. There are 5 in Highland Park, and the seniors love it. We didn't stop there. Now we have a program called Literacy in the Park, where volunteers, and we have so many volunteers. We almost have 100 volunteers. They come and listen to the children read. They get tickets, and they can ride a pony, or ride a train, a media van, and get involved in the other activities. Then we have a program here at the museum. We give away free books every second Wednesday, and the admission is free. We started another program in the fall of last year to distribute books at back-to-school rallies, you know. And we have another program called Boys, Books, and Barbers. We have bookcases in 5 barbershops. And we didn't stop there. And we're not going to stop until every child knows how to read. Remember, Malcolm said that if he wasn't reading in the library or on his bunk, he loved to read. He never felt so free as when he was reading. Never felt so free in his life. And my girl Oprah said, books were my path to personal freedom. Oh, and Mary McLeod said, the whole world opened to me when I learned to read. That's power, you know. So my legacy is one of literacy, love, and freedom for when, as Frederick Douglass says, when you learn to read, you are forever free. Thank you.
Alma Greer! See what one person can do.